Good morning, guys. I'm just going to show you a quick recipe for homemade granola. I spent quite a lot of time buying off-the-shelf granola and just recently started actually looking at the ingredients that are included. And even on the good stuff, right, the healthy versions, I found that there was a lot of sugar in those products, and me personally, I'm trying to cut out as much sugar as possible from my diet. So I decided to try and make my own. I found a really simple and easy recipe on chow.com. That's CHOW.com. I've made it a few times now. It comes out great, it's usable, and it's actually cheaper as well than buying the prepackaged granola. So I'm just going to show you how to make it. You don't need that many ingredients. I'm also going to show you my modifications to the recipe because there's some stuff that number one, I don't ever have on hand, so I can't use it. And two, in the spirit of trying not to spend excessive money this season, I am just trying to use up some of the things that I already have in my cabinets to make things like my homemade granola without going out and spending more money to buy the exact ingredients that are in the recipe. Okay, so it's really simple. The first thing you start out with is 3 cups of old-fashioned oats. Again, I'm trying to be healthy here, so I got the organic version. These are only about $1.30 in the store. So 3 cups of this. Put it into a big bowl. Try not to get it everywhere. It doesn't have to be super exact. Okay. That's it. You end up with a decent amount in a bowl. Okay. The recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of light brown sugar. I don't have brown sugar. Again, like I said, I'm cutting out sugar, so I'm trying to get rid of this last little bit of white sugar that I have in the cabinet. So I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of regular old white granulated sugar. It adds just a little bit of sweetness. You really don't need it because of some of the other ingredients, but I believe the reason they have the brown sugar in there is because it helps make the oats crispy once you bake them. But for me, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of white sugar until this stuff is gone. Okay, just put that in there on the oats. And that's it. The recipe also calls for some salt. This is the salt we use. It's pink Himalayan salt. It's in this little grinder. I don't actually know if it's a fourth of a teaspoon or not, but I just put a little bit of salt in there. Who knows? I don't ever taste it, but whatever. Okay, so that ingredient is done. That ingredient is done. And cinnamon, ground cinnamon. I love cinnamon. I could eat it straight out of this jar. It calls for 1/2 teaspoon. I like my granola cinnamony, so I put in almost a full teaspoon. Maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon. Just because I like it to be cinnamony. Okay, that's it. So those are all your dry ingredients. Pretty simple. Mix those up so that the cinnamon gets distributed evenly, as well as the sugar. I guess the salt too. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, everything's mixed. That was easy. Okay, so you put your dry ingredients aside and you start working on the wet ingredients. All right, first one is 1/3 cup of honey. Again, I get the Greenwise organic honey. Again, trying to be semi-healthy here. But this stuff tastes great. I use it all the time. It's about $4 in the store, which is a little expensive, but I think it's worth it. Okay, so 1/3 cup. Measure that out. It's a good hand workout. All right, and just dump it into your wet bowl, a smaller wet bowl. Use your spatula to get all that goodness off the cup. Don't want to waste that honey. try not to lick the cup, which is what I like to do. Okay, so you got your honey in the bowl. The recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. Again, we don't really keep vegetable oil in the house because I don't use it. So what we do use is coconut oil. So this is the organic, unrefined, cold press coconut oil. It's cold in the house right now, so you can see it's kind of, that's dirty, but whatever. It's congealed white, almost like Crisco. In the summertime, when it's warmer in the house, this is basically a clear liquid. So don't freak out if it looks like Crisco. It's not Crisco. All right. So I range on how much oil I put into the recipe. If you want your oatmeal crispier, you're going to want to put the full 1/4 cup, which would be 4 tablespoons. If you want to, keep it low on the fat content, then use less. So I'm going to go for, let's say, 3 tablespoons coconut oil. See, it's kind of like a white, oh, it's so bright. It's kind of a white, mushy consistency. Okay. And that is your coconut oil. And the last thing is vanilla extract. This calls for 1 teaspoon. There again, I really like my vanilla and my cinnamon. So I will probably do a little more than 1 teaspoon, just to give it that vanilla-y taste. Okay, so now you've got this bowl of mush. Mix it up. So this video is 7 minutes, right? This is so far this is as long as it's taken. This is a early morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. Whatever, this does not take long. Mix it up pretty good, looks like caramel, and then mix it into your dry ingredients. On a side note, I got these bowls years ago at Walmart, but they have this little gripper lip on the back so that you can hold on to it and pour things out. Fantastic, super cheap. I think they were like 10 bucks. Okay, so just mix this all together until it gets sticky all over. Try not to get it everywhere. Just want to make sure that everything's good and coated so that when it cooks, each piece of oatmeal gets crispy. It's that moisture on the outside of the oats that are going to make it crispy. And you just want to make sure you don't end up with a big pile of like the sugar or cinnamon on one piece, because then you'll have, some that are super flavorful and some that are not. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, looks like oatmeal. Okay, now is the easy part, right? Dump it on the pan. Don't even have to you don't even have to oil the pan or spray any sort of non-stick on it so it doesn't stick. Use your spatula to just spread it out. Try not to get it everywhere. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it sort of flat. That's it. It's on the pan. You can't see the oven. Maybe you can. Ooh, I hope the camera doesn't fall. Throw it in the oven. I preheat the oven to 300 degrees, and then you bake it for, now I've forgotten the recipe, 15 minutes. Take it out, stir it, fluff it up, put it back in, bake it for another 5 to 15 minutes depending on how crispy you like your granola. Okay, it's pretty simple. So you just leave it in there. Your house will start to smell amazing, like vanilla and cinnamon. And in the meantime, all you need to do is pick out whatever nuts and dried fruit you have at your house. In this case, we had some cranberries left over from a recipe at Thanksgiving, so I want to use these up since I don't normally eat cranberries because they have a lot of sugar in them. And then I have these just whole walnuts. You can get these at the produce area at Publix. I like the big bag. So you basically just take a half a cup of these, a half a cup of these, you know, toss them together. And when your granola is done baking, you're going to remove it from the oven, set it aside to cool, and wait for it to get crispy. Okay? Once it's crispy, then you just take your nuts and your fruit and toss it all together. Put it in an airtight container and stick it in either your cabinet or your fridge. I find that my airtight containers are not airtight. So the first time I did this, my granola got kind of soft and stale right about 2 days after I put it in my cabinet. So instead what we do is we put it in that, you know, Tupperware container, and we actually store it in the fridge. So it turns out great. It's a great topper for any sort of Greek yogurt, for you know, using as like a cereal base, that type of thing. And it has a lot less sugar in it than you're going to find in any prepackaged granola that you're going to buy at the grocery store. Okay, so I hope you'll give it a try. Mix it up. Any nuts, any fruit combination is good. If you like other spices besides cinnamon, you know, maybe nutmeg or whatever other, you know, sweet spices you like, throw those in there. Experiment. It's really not difficult, and again, it's not an expensive venture to make this. These oats are like $1. The honey, you know, all that stuff. It's something that you can try and fail at several times before you get it right and find the recipe that you like the best. Okay. Hope this was helpful. If you guys need or want more recipe tips on how to save money and eat less processed, less sugary foods, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/fitnesswithbecky, and I'll be happy to keep you posted on my recipe ideas. Thanks, guys. Bye.